Hello, good morning, good evening, wherever you might be, and welcome to another day live at the Waterhole. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and I will be hosting you for the next 3 hours. So I hope you get ready to enjoy the wonderful sights and sounds that we'll be seeing, hopefully today. If this is your first time joining, how exciting! You've chosen a good day. I suppose it's a Monday, hey? Wouldn't it be a great way to start your week? And we are currently at Oldonyo, which is situated in Kenya and sandwiched between Tsavo National Park and the Amboseli. If you would like to ask me any questions or any comments, you're also most welcome to do so. And it's pretty simple. All you have to do is either, if you're watching on the YouTube stream, you can just comment in the chat, or even better, if you head over to the WildEarth website and pop your questions into the question box. You'll also be able to do that, I think, through the app. So maybe go and download that too. But I really am looking forward to chatting to you all today. Look at all these elephants just coming around to drink. So let's just take a moment to listen to them. It looks like some of these elephants have already had a drink. Looks like the tips of their trunks and some of their feet are a bit wet. But because it's going to be such a warm day today, I suspect we're going to get a lot of movement around the waterhole, which I'm quite excited about. And then just in the back, the antelope that's roaming around, that is an oryx, a fringe-eared oryx. But speaking of hot days, let's go and check out what the weather's going to be like across the rest of the cameras. It's getting hotter and hotter. And of course, I like to tell you about the weather where I live, which is Hoedspruit. I'm back in the Lowveld. If you were following, not last week, but the week before, I was in the Eastern Cape of South Africa in a small town called St. Francis Bay. But it is good to be back. It is hot, hot, hot. It feels like summer has already arrived. And as you saw, with the temperature in Oldonyo, they're experiencing the exact same thing, really. Not too much movement from the bulls. They seem to be taking it quite easy. No rushing in and splashing about. And the Gemsbok just patiently waiting to be able to get in and have a drink. And see if, again, they'll be brave enough to squeeze through. There's a lot of space around the waterhole, especially closest to the camera, as you can see. But we also know what elephant bulls are like. They can be a bit abrupt. Perhaps we can have a closer look at the elephant that's drinking water. It seems to be twisting and turning its trunk around something. I don't know if it's just a rock. Catherine, you said good morning, TNT, aka Taylor and Tucker. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. For those of you that are wondering who Tucker is, it's my dog. and he's inside with me today. Hopefully he won't do any barking because you all know what dogs can be like. And I've got a couple of people here helping me put up a fence and all sorts of things. But we won't worry about that. We'll deal with that later if we have to. I'm still hoping we can get a closer view of the elephant that's drinking water. Again, it's always nice to have up close looks at the different body parts of animals. Priyash, you've said great work, team. Love from India. Wow, that's a fair distance away. Thank you for watching. I'm glad you're here with us. If you have any questions for us, let me know. I'd of course love to have a chat with you as this morning goes. There's a nice view of the elephants and the feet. And we'll see if this Ellie puts his trunk back in the water and try and figure out what are you playing with over there. Just amazing how they are so inquisitive with their trunks, constantly feeling different textures. And with those two little fingertips that they have on the tip of their trunk, it's amazing how they can pick up almost anything. I'm sure this is breaking little pieces of mud. Kayla, you said you're loving this busy waterhole. Absolutely. It's definitely, I think it's my favorite. Not I think, I know it's my favorite. There's always something going on here. And then even when there isn't anything going on, then there's a lot of birds, and we've been seeing an agama species. Not I need to stop saying that. I keep saying the lodge's name in Kenya and not the actual species, and agama. Sometimes we see them running around too. So I'm quite curious just to see, now that we've got this really close-up view, sort of investigates and fiddles around in the mud. I don't know if it's pulling small pieces of, looks like almost clay over there, which would be high in minerals. See how he's not drinking. He's just plopping his trunk from one end to the other. What are you doing, elephant? I wonder if he's breathing in through his trunk. Look how flattened the tip of the trunk actually is. What on earth are you doing? It's so weird. I'm just wondering, unless potentially there's some fresh water coming in there through the little pump, but I thought that the pump was on the left-hand side. Could be mistaken. Maybe it's just trying to get that water directly. Oh, Kathy Lee, you're so kind. You've said welcome back and you hope my birthday was wonderful. It was. I'm the worst person when it comes to birthdays. I don't particularly enjoy them, to be honest. And but that's just me. I like celebrating and it gets excited for everybody else. But for me personally, not my favorite. But thank you for the wishes. My highlight this year was that no one actually sang happy birthday to me, which I know sounds completely morbid, but that song gives me the heebie-jeebies because I never know what to do. Are you supposed to clap and sing with, or do you just sit there awkwardly? No one ever taught me what you were supposed to do. luckily for the elephants, they don't have to endure that. I was so lucky almost 2 weeks ago, well, not quite 2 weeks ago, on the last day, it was on Friday, not last Friday, the Friday before, I actually got to see a couple of tuskers, the big elephants with the long tusks, which was great. We were hoping for them all week. Maybe we'll get lucky again today. But I'm going to be here until Sunday. So we've got a bit of time to check out all the cameras and see what exciting things happen. Tucky, darling? No, breeding herds of elephants. Oh, sorry, not it's Jackie. My bad. My apologies. They don't seem to come down this side. We don't see them very often at all. So, I mean, elephants move huge distances and tend to travel a lot more than the bulls, especially these older, bigger bulls. They'll have their favorite places that they'll feed, and then we typically see them moving a lot more during the periods when they go into must, and then the elephants sort of spread out. But the breeding herds are constantly on the go, searching for freshest water and the best vegetation. Perhaps this is just not ideal for them. There must be a greener pastures elsewhere.
Did you know that the WildEarth team makes weekly behind the safari content? Would you like to get to know the WildEarth family better? See how we live.
This is Igor's bedroom.
Learn about our production process. And see the antics that happen off camera. Sign up to be an explorer and you will get access to all this content and more.
Doesn't it great just listening to all the therapeutic sounds of the elephants as they swish their tails and flap their ears. There's not much water coming out of that pipe. I don't think it gushes. It's probably just trickling around there, which maybe explains why that elephant keeps his trunk there for such long periods of time. There we have a brave zebra just sneaking in on the right. No, none of these big bulls seem to be too perturbed by it at the moment. But once again, it's just interesting to see the older the bull, the more tolerant they are of other animals. Let's see, this bull with a broken tusk. Are you going to chase them away? You're also just going to sneak in and have a drink. Just swished its trunk at one zebra that thought was particularly close. Oh, I'll just go through the middle. Whoops. Get out of my waterhole. Watching zebra is so fascinating. If you ever get the chance, oh goodness, look at that. And you are able to sit and watch zebras. Look how this individual that's in the water is clearly saying don't come and drink, or go and drink somewhere else. And you can just see that it's not impressed. Look what it's doing with its ears too. See how it flattens its ears right back down onto its neck. Those are just agitation signs. You can tell a lot about how the animals in the Equidae family are feeling just by looking at their ears. I suppose that's with a lot of animals though. Cats do it and dogs do it too when they're not very happy with one another. Fiona, you said you love it when these elephant bulls come down. It's great to watch, absolutely. My favorite is just the interspecies interactions around the waterhole. Come on, zebras, I'm sure there's even more of you. Oh my goodness. One of the best zebra sightings that I've ever had have actually been in the Ngorongoro crater in Tanzania. There's so many zebras down in the basin, and it's just crazy to see, with there being so many individuals, so many different herds, and kind of being on top of one another too. A lot of fighting amongst the stallions. But here, of course, it's just competing for resources, being the water and the best place to drink. But as we all know, zebras are not very tolerant of one another. And they have their favorites too. They'll have certain mares that get on with each other better than other mares, and then they might show a bit of aggression or agitation towards certain individuals. Same thing goes with the stallion. He's also going to have his favorite mares. We'll then associate with them more often. And then look at the elephant on the left, doing what elephants do best. They obviously eat a lot, they drink a lot of water, and they also have to defecate too. Well, what we might see a bit later, if the waterhole quietens down, we might see quite a few bird species coming to rummage around in that dung, which will attract all sorts of insects. We'll keep an eye out for that over the course of the show. You can see just how relaxed these elephants truly are. Actually, looks like the elephant that's just defecated has got a much shorter tail than the other individuals. Chav, you said that the elephant bulls are like bouncers at the nightclub. Absolutely. A bit of an overkill, don't you think, with there being so many, especially with the size difference, all the other animals being so much smaller. And everyone is quite placid, so perhaps they're all over 21, so there's no hassles. Gemsbok also coming, the Gemsbok Taylor, stop doing that. The oryx coming down for a drink too. I think they were encouraged to see that the zebra were safe when going down to drink, so they're going to follow in their footsteps.
Stay up to date with the latest happenings at WildEarth. Discover what goes on behind the scenes and get a weekly recap of the best moments on the channel.
He's got it! And he's straight up a tree!
Sign up to be an explorer and receive our newsletter written just for you and sent straight to your inbox every week. WildEarth Explorers, a club for people who are passionate about nature.
Thank you for joining us and have a fantastic morning.
I hope you all have your volume turned up so you can get all the sounds. It doesn't sound particularly busy on the bird front. Maybe we'll get some later. And I'm just watching this elephant bull that defecated. Definitely looks like something has happened to his tail. Missing the tip of it. I like that they're all taking turns today too. Obviously they're after that fresh water. I don't blame them. And they're all of equal size too. There's obviously, you can see the elephant on the right seems to be a bit more on the bossy side. Saying, get out of there. I actually wasn't finished drinking. Or just trying to prove a point. So that's quite nice. You can see that the oryx are coming in. You can see why they're called fringe-eared oryx. You can see little black tufts of hair just on the tips of the ears. No, not quite confident. It's amazing. They sort of walk in, no problem at all, and have a sip of water and then kind of move away. Ouch! That wasn't very nice. Would not like to be jabbed with those long horns. You can see how sharp the tips of the horns are too. And for the most part, animals don't like to fight. They obviously have little squabbles like this, where they might, charge towards one another. And the waterbuck, gemsbok, bushbuck, quite often, especially when it's two bulls having a bit of a territorial dispute, can kill one another. And while I was at Sabi Sabi many years ago, that's down in the Sabi Sand Game Reserve, I watched two waterbuck bulls actually fight to the death. It was, I'm not particularly bloodthirsty in terms of those kinds of sightings, but it was quite hectic to sort of see. And then I've never seen it before, but I've heard from a couple of guides, and they've seen the same thing with oryx fighting to the death. And the starlings just flying past. Or most of them seem to be starlings. 679. 6, 87, 88, 89, 90.
See any. I think what we're going to do, I'm going to hand you back to Brent. Take over.
But you seldom actually see these community nest wipe spiders out and about as much as this. Look at the way they kind of all start emerging from these little holes. It's quite creepy actually. And you guys are going to be getting some intense close-up views. And well done to Jandre, he's doing an incredible job showing you this action because he's probably holding his breath to keep his body dead still. Look, here they go again, wrestling.
We're going to try and get hold of the Sabi Sands. We'll ask them what they're going to do. I'm not sure what the answer is. I suspect the answer is going to be by wild dogs, and I'm just looking at the ground here to see if there are any tracks. But I don't see any. I think what we're going to do, I'm going to hand you back to Brent. Take over.
But you seldom actually see these community nest wipe spiders out and about as much as this. Look at the way they kind of all start emerging from these little holes. It's quite creepy actually. And you guys are going to be getting some intense close-up views. And well done to Jandre, he's doing an incredible job showing you this action because he's probably holding his breath to keep his body dead still. Look, here they go again, wrestling.
Of the hippo. Ivy, you'd like to know if buffalo and hippo get along? I'm not sure. I really am not sure. Hippos are known to be temperamental, and so are buffalo. But from what we're seeing right now, they don't seem to have any major issues with each other, even though they're both trying to exploit the same resource right now. I just want to figure out what this little one thinks it's doing. Now, it's not very little, but it's definitely a youngster. Just going to say hello.
Quick link, Janine, copy, bro. Quick link and Facebook Live. Guys, look at this. The full males have suddenly stood up.
sizes of the hippo. Ivy, you'd like to know if buffalo and hippo get along? I'm not sure. Really, I'm not sure. Hippos are known to be temperamental, and so are buffalo. But from what we're seeing right now, they don't seem to have any major issues with each other, even though they're both trying to exploit the same resource right now. I just want to figure out what this little one thinks it's doing. Now, it's not very little, but it's definitely a youngster. Just going to say hello.
Quick link, should you copy, bro? Quick link, and Facebook Live. Guys, look at this. The full males have suddenly stood up.
Sizes of the hippo. Ivy, you'd like to know if buffalo and hippo get along? I'm not sure. Really, I'm not sure. Hippos are known to be temperamental, and so are buffalo. But from what we're seeing right now, they don't seem to have any major issues with each other, even though they're both trying to exploit the same resource right now. I just want to figure out what this little one thinks it's doing. Now, it's not very little, but it's definitely a youngster. Just going to say hello.
Quick link, should you copy, bro? Quick link, and Facebook Live. Guys, look at this. The full males have suddenly stood up.
Sizes of the hippo. Ivy, you'd like to know if buffalo and hippo get along? I'm not sure. Really, I'm not sure. Hippos are known to be temperamental, and so are buffalo. But from what we're seeing right now, they don't seem to have any major issues with each other, even though they're both trying to exploit the same resource right now. I just want to figure out what this little one thinks it's doing. Now, it's not very little, but it's definitely a youngster. Just going to say hello.
Welcome back, everybody. I must just apologize. The gremlins got hold of us, but everything seems to be back in order. Hopefully, you didn't miss me too much. You still got almost just over 2 hours to hear the sound of my voice. I was going to say pleasant sound of my voice, and I thought, I don't know if it's pleasant. I think I sound quite strange when I talk. Isn't that funny? How none of us like the sound of our own voices. And of course, the elephants haven't moved. It looks like the same individuals are still here. You've got the elephant on the left with the missing part of its tail. And then the other individuals just having a drink. Rightio, so we're at Naledi now. And like I said earlier, we're going to have lots and lots of elephants streaming in. A slightly different water hole from the one that we've been looking at. This nice little reservoir. And then, of course, the rest of it sort of is pumped into this other section. Just a small group of elephants. Looks like one adult with her offspring, or there might still be some more members of the herd around here, or perhaps she's a satellite party who's going to go and catch up with the others. It's always quite tricky for the really young ones to drink the water from this reservoir. Looks like they're having to stick their trunks in quite deep today. Perhaps it needs some filling up. But because this is a pump pan, I don't know if it's a solar pump, which means that it would just then naturally fill up on its own, or if it has to be switched on manually. I imagine it must be some kind of a solar pump, or have like a control switch or something as to different times of the day when it would be pumped full with water. And off it goes. Not wasting too much time. Off to continue grazing. You can see how dry the vegetation is becoming. It's thinned out quite a bit now. It actually looks like winter. It's strange though, because the grass is still quite long for this time of the year. But with the temperatures increasing, and I haven't started to see the big clouds rolling in just yet, although it's a bit early for that. I think the bush will dry out pretty quickly now over the rest of September and then entering into October. And then you can see the bright yellow flowers from the knobthorn tree. Looks like that elephant cow is now having a dust bath. Good for you. There's really not any other elephants around. And not uncommon to see though. You know, a cow with her family group. I've seen it so often now, but obviously it's better if you're in a herd together. So who knows what has happened there. Oh wow, look at that. Starbuck, you've asked, why do elephants slowly brush and very gently brush the ground with their feet? I'm just trying to think. Are you talking about when they swing their leg across to the other one, or you're talking about it? Are they actually making contact with the ground? Because what they could potentially be doing is just trying to loosen up the soil that's on the surface, and then be able to, grab trunkfuls of it and toss the dust on itself, just as this young elephant calf is doing. Sure, getting super involved. There must be a lot of biting insects today. Those tails are swishing, and so are the ears. And I have noticed that the flies and other flying critters are starting to come back, which is not everybody's favorite thing. I like them though. Not flies. Not a fan of flies. Okie dokie, but that was nice just to briefly see the herd of elephants. We will keep an eye and see what else arrives at Naledi Dam. But let's go back to our favorite. Hold on, yo. And of course, the bulls are still here. Looks like another one coming in on the right-hand side that hasn't had a drink just yet. Feet and trunk are dry. Giving the rest of the individuals a wide berth. Let's see if there's a greeting ceremony and how tolerant the other bulls will be of him. Gently sticking his trunk out. There we go, that's a nice spot to squeeze in. And of course the giraffe are finally making their way here. Because there's not much water around in this area, you'll find that the elephant bulls must know each other quite well, because they too associate with one another. Most of these bulls seem to be of equal size. There's a couple that are slightly larger and probably a bit older. But there wasn't too much animosity between them from what we could see about even from an hour ago. They seem to be quite placid with one another. They'll definitely remember other individuals. And just like in humans, they'll have better bonds with certain elephants, and then others they might not really enjoy. Carrie, you've asked, would this waterhole be filled up when it dries, if it were to dry? So there's a little pump that actually supplies water to this area. So it's unlikely that it's going to go dry. They'll just top it up when it gets a bit low. But can you imagine? It's tricky when you have so many elephants consistently coming down to drink. Obviously, out of the animal species that we see here, they consume the most amount of water. But then you have the giraffe coming in, then you have the oryx coming in, the zebra. So the water levels will drop quite rapidly. So it might even be that this pump is just left on just to trickle.
Discover the wonders of the wild with Safari Snaps, Africam's fun community game. While enjoying the live streams, simply tag the animal you spot. Each tag earns you points based on the rarity of the species. The rarer, the more points you score. Your profile and the Safari Snaps leaderboard will keep track of your impressive tagging skills. Join us on Safari Snaps and let's celebrate the wonders of African wildlife together.
See, they're quite itchy at the backs of their legs. And because it is so difficult to wet those places, I mean, the tails do help when they aren't a stump as they swish away. That definitely help get rid of the flies. You get these horrible things called louse flies, which are not particularly pleasant, and they've got a very powerful proboscis. So they're able to penetrate fairly thick skin. If you've ever watched or seen lions in the Serengeti and the Mara, especially when you see them up on the rocks, I mean, you can see this all the time. They're covered, it looks like they're covered with lots and lots of flies. And if you take your binoculars and have a closer look, you'll notice that there are crazy looking things. So if you're connected to the internet or you have your phone handy, I highly recommend typing into Google louse fly, then you can see what I'm talking about. So it could be them that are really bothering the backs of the elephant's legs.